What are some of the things that 20-somethings feel a lot of anxiety about that might surprise somebody who's not in their 20s to hear causes anxiety in that decade?
What is so difficult about the 20s is that it's the most uncertain time of life. So it's probably the only time in your life where everything is uncertain all at the same time. So work is uncertain, love is uncertain, finances are uncertain, the brain is still developing, emotional stability is still coming together. So, I think most of us in 30s or 40s or 50s, maybe we have work goes sideways or romance is blowing up. But for 20-somethings, everything is uncertain at worst. At once, the brain really hates that. The brain interprets uncertainty as danger. So 20-somethings are walking around in a pretty low-level state of sort of chronic stress and anxiety around everything feels dangerous because they don't have those adult sources of safety. So they may feel anxious about, I don't know how to talk to my roommate, so I'm sending them texts instead of saying, hey, can we have a conversation? Or a big one is, I don't know how to talk to my boss and ask for this weekend off that I need for my sister's wedding. Or I don't know how to go on a date. I've never kissed anybody before. I've never had sex. I'm worried I'll never be able to pay my bills. They're feeling anxious and worried about just about everything that's uncertain. And that's just about everything.
Well, what's interesting is if you've had a child that has gone off to college or gone into the military or gone to a trade school, especially if they leave home, there's this assumption that they're maturing and they're gaining those skills, and that by the time they get out of college or trade school or the military, okay, they got it all figured out. And what you're making me realize is, wait a minute, those are life skills that you don't just stumble upon.
Right.
You have to have experiences or people in your life that teach you those life skills. So what do you want to say to someone who is in their 20s and who's saying, well, I'll just figure this out later. I don't figure this out right now. I got plenty of time.
I think the first thing I would actually not say, it would be a question I would ask, what are they waiting for? That I think 20-somethings feel like they have time to figure it out, without maybe fully understanding it takes time to figure it out. Ooh. So the sooner you start that process, the better. If you try to start figuring everything out in your 30s, you're probably going to be pretty crunched for time. You may not get everything you want. I don't want that to happen, which is why in the defining decade, I don't say you have to have it all figured out by 30. I say, please start figuring it out by 30.
I love that distinction. The distinction of, I have time to figure it out versus it takes time to figure it out. And so when you're talking to somebody in their 20s, how do you counsel somebody who is freaking out about the fact that they don't have it all figured out? And now I start to feel anxious that I don't have it figured out. Now I'm paralyzed by that. So how do you counsel somebody to flip from that state of kind of paralysis to it takes time to figure it out? And my point is, you need to start getting serious about figuring it out.
Well, we start with something. I think one thing where people go wrong with 20-somethings is that I think they think reassurance and saying, it's fine, you've got all the time in the world, you'll figure it out. Reassurance doesn't actually make people feel better, or it makes them feel better for about an hour or a day, and then they come back for more. We call clients or 20-somethings like this, people like this, reassurance junkies.
Reassurance junkies?
Yeah, they're anxious, they get a little hit of reassurance, they feel better for a minute, but then they have to come back for more because reassurance it's empty. Instead of saying, oh, it's fine, it doesn't matter, you'll be fine, I say, hey, I'm taking your concerns seriously. So what are we going to do? What are you going to do? Where can you start? Let's start now. That actually makes people feel better than telling them they'll be fine. Is saying, well, let's make sure you're fine. Let's do something about it.